I've just come across a few of my old notes. Isn't that strange? I believe the patient in question was slightly disturbed. He had an 8-day fix on William Blake, which extended and blended, or shall we say spliced, with the personality of Professor Richard Dawkins. He puts him down as, let's see, Dickie Dawkins. Sounds like an 18th century pugilist to me. Got a problem with authority and totalitarianism. I think that was where he was going. And there's mention in the notes of Deus Ex Machina. I can't imagine who he was referring to. Was it you, Dickie Boyle, or was it just old Bill? I doubt it. He probably just put down whatever came into his mind at the one time when he wasn't being shocked. I see he has clippings. Ventriloquize the divine and tell us what to do. I think that was something Dawkins was accusing religious persons. But I see it's underlined with red felt tip. And he's underlined one too many times the word strident and shrill. But of course you were given the freedom to do that, weren't you, Dickie boy? Old Hitchens, your peer, he gave you the harmonious, fond farewell of saying just such a thing. Go ahead, be as strident and shrill as you want. Wasn't that what it was? I think it was, yes. We tried Freudian with this fellow, and Jungian. I applied a number of tests, but none of them came back any more clear than your theory on memes. Units of thought of culture infecting the host and adapting and propagating itself. Isn't that just a description of religion? I think it is. Specialization. That's another word that keeps cropping up. Over-specialization. Natural law, lex talionis, that seems to be cropping up as well. There's a certain hostility in this. The fellow is clearly mad. The patient, I mean. Excessive sorrow laughs, excessive joy weeps. That's a Blake quote, I believe. Everything that lives, lives not alone nor for itself. Again, hardly surprising to find Blake quoted so famously. And then, of course, he underlines and scratches out the word tooth fairy. Hardly surprising, since old Dickie Boy used to compare him to God and God to him. Put him on the same level, don't you? Well, isn't that interesting? Where are you going, Dawkins? Oh, that's an interesting quote there. I like that. He compares you to Urizen, which was a slight subconscious pun on Blake's part. Isn't that interesting? Your reason. Your intellect, aren't you? So clearly of materialism. I forget it. Was it Vajra? The Buddhists give a word for it. Yes, intellect. Another word he compares to Dawkins, he's underlined that as well. Unfortunately, it's not that clear. Ignorant hirelings, negating the comfort of others. Lacks imagination. Oh dear. I think that's where you're going to go off the deep end, Dickie boy. Let's have a look. You see, imagination was William Blake's cornerstone, and that's what you lack, isn't it? You're so specialized in reason. Love thy fellow man? I don't think that's possible, do you? What an interesting attitude to take. Why would you want to love these creatures? You can't even educate them. Priests have their own jargon. don't they? Yes, I think he's made notes of that too, yes. There's an interesting element there. Seem to figure prominently. Flames. Something of the gnashing of teeth. I'm not sure that's Blake, but then discomfiture of the self is a central Blakean topic. I believe it was a therapy that Blake instilled in people for the bewilderment of the self, greater and greater obstacles to the remaking of subjectivity. Wasn't that it? Yes. But to get back to that little Robin, all of heaven in a rage. But all that poetry, you don't like poetry, do you, Dickie boy? No, of course not. You're the prosaic. But all the jargon those priests use, it's not your jargon, is it? You can't educate someone who doesn't talk your language. So why do you even bother debating them? Interesting. You call it indoctrination, and yet you've come up with your own opposing doctrine. I think somewhere there is in Blake something of the contraries. Without contraries, there's no progression. And isn't opposition true friendship? Is that what you are doing? Are you accidentally acting out the fantasies of my patient, Dickie boy? My God, was a meme possibly convincing this man that you were William Blake? I think with all that gnashing of teeth you're nothing but a jumped-up dentist. You've more sense of purpose now, of course, now you've got all those accolades and certificates, possibly a few shiny trophies. Do you employ a person to shine those trophies? Or do you only permit yourself to do that particular function? I wonder. Do you have a mantelpiece set aside for it, or would that be too vulgar? Quite possibly. My patient, if memory serves, all his bêtes noires put down quietly in pamphlets and in protestations. He was all right at the end. He just kept quoting Salve de Profundis. Strange words. He had a predisposition to quote Latin and not know what the hell he was talking about, but then that's what happens to so many people when they're deluded. They shouldn't enter into an arena where they don't know where they're going or what they're arguing about. Philosophy, ethics, nothing to do with science. Why did you decide to stroll out of your laboratory and take on a whole bunch of folk who don't know what they're doing? I think you resemble him in some ways, but all these pictures before me of Blake's work, why is it in all these tautological, tortured little phrases and slips of paper, he's cut out your face and put it on the face of the Antichrist, the red dragons, the sun? Everything is cut and pasted. Don't worry, this isn't a threat, just for my own amusement. There is a certain pattern to everything this man has written. Grey-headed beetles. Yes. And that great quote on the front cover of this particular epistle he sent to me, Urizen wept and gave it unto the hands of Newton and Locke. The eye alters all. I think he's misquoting there. It's the eye altering alters all. But then he was blind as Milton. Didn't Blake compare him to Satan? I'm sorry, am I going round in circles? They don't let me have much use of a web here, or the internet. They just keep piping in nuns' music and I have to drink this broth. I'm not entirely sure who it's made of. I shall refer to these notes again at some other future point. Let us just say for now, I think I have solved the problem of schizophrenic number 7.